So emotions. Emotions come to tell us a story. So emotions are part and parcel of being a human. If we didn't have emotions, then we wouldn't be able to really engage in happiness or sadness. We would just be blank. So somebody would say to you, congratulations, you've just won, you know, $100,000 or something on the lottery. And you would just be like, okay. Or somebody would say to you, oh, your best friend has just died. And you'll be like, okay. So emotions are an important part of not only us feeling, but us communicating to other people as well. So emotions are not our enemies. We make them our enemies. When an emotion comes, it's coming to say to you, wait, something is happening here. Wake up. You need to pay attention. That's what emotion is doing for you. So there are two different sets of emotions that we go through. So one set is called collective. So or collective or connective. I've seen it different ways. So this is where we connect to other people. So this is compassion. This is happiness. You know, those nice, the warm and cuddly emotions that we like. Yeah, they're the ones that bond us together as humans. They don't have so much as a problem as the other type of emotion, but they still bring us problems because we get attached to them, because we try to hold on to them. So we need to be careful about those emotions, that we're not, you know, when you're happy, you want to stay happy. I mean, of course we do. Why wouldn't we? But nothing is permanent. Nothing lasts forever. So that happiness comes to go. So we have to make sure that we don't get attached to these emotions, but these are not our major problem here. The ones that cause us or tend to cause us the most problems are called protective emotions. And that's exactly what they do. They come to protect you. Again, it's part of your instincts. It's part of that survival system, the way that our brains are wired for survival, our default mode. So these protective emotions come to protect us. Anger, loneliness, sadness, all of those are protective emotions. They're the ones that we see as our enemy. They're the ones that we try to fight. They're the ones that we either get ourselves totally tangled up with them, or we try to suppress them, or we try to distract ourselves from them. But remember, they come for a reason. But you see, the problem is that we think that way, that we think that sitting in our head is like Mr. Anger, and he's sitting there, and then he's bored, got nothing to do, so then he just becomes angry. That's not the case. As with thoughts, emotions are just a process of our brain. The emotions come to go. They just come to tell us something is happening here. So an emotion will never come to annoy you. An emotion is not something personal. It's not like, oh, I know, they seem happy today, I'll do this and make them unhappy. Emotions are not like that. They don't work like that. So as with thoughts, we shouldn't attach ourselves to them. We shouldn't think that those thoughts are something we should get ourselves tangled up in, because they're not. Those thoughts are coming for a reason. Allow them to come, work with them. So I'm going to teach you how we can work with these emotions in a moment. So an emotion is not an enemy. An emotion is a teacher. That, if you take anything away from today, take that away. That an emotion is your teacher. It's come to tell you something. Learn the lesson. When you learn that lesson, you can move on. If you try to deny the emotion, if you try to turn away from that emotion or distract yourself, it's not going to go, because something has happened. Something has happened outside of us to stimulate it, or something inside us has happened to stimulate it. So it's come for a reason. So the same with thoughts, it comes to go. When we hold on to it, it makes it last. So you imagine the emotion is coming to go, and we treat it like a teacher, and we learn the lesson, and then we move on. Emotion's gone. But what we do is we get ourselves tangled up in that emotion. What we're doing is we're holding that emotion there. We're making that emotion last longer than it needs to do, because we're not facing it. We're not looking up to it and saying, okay, what has happened here? What do I need to do? Again, when dealing with emotions, it is all about awareness, bringing awareness to that emotion, bringing awareness to what is happening here. Why has this emotion come? What do I need to do to learn the lesson and let that emotion go? So an emotion is only supposed to last 90 seconds. So that's unbelievable, isn't it? But throughout the day, you have emotions that come and just last 90 seconds and go, last 90 seconds and go. You have those. They're the ones that we're just totally ignoring because they're not disturbing us in any way. So imagine anger only comes for 90 seconds as a warning to you. But because we get ourselves tangled up in them, they can last all day. Now, there's another thing that we need to understand, that the emotions are coming from a central part of our brain, the limbic system. That limbic system has absolutely no idea of past, present, or future. It has no idea of time. That's why your emotions, when we get caught up in them, are not time bound. That's why an emotion can keep going and going and going and going, because those emotions don't have any sort of idea of time. You can't see that that was the past. You can't see that you're getting emotional about the future. It doesn't know that. It doesn't have any ability to do that, which is really strange. But another reason why, that's one reason why those emotions come back all the time if we don't deal with them. So we need to be looking at those emotions and seeing them as a teacher and not as our enemy. So another reason why those emotions last a long time is to protect you. It is trying to protect you. So look, you were madly in love with this person and you couldn't live without them, and then they left you. And you want to move on. You want to try and let go and move on, but you can't, because it keeps coming into your head. They've left you. They've left you. They're not here anymore. You'll never see them again. And we're trying to move on. But what your brain is trying to do is trying to stop you from making that same mistake. So it thinks it is protecting you. What it's actually doing is driving us completely mad because we can't move on. So that is another reason why the emotions keep coming back all the time, because they're trying to protect you. They're trying to say to you that, you know, don't do this again. So a learning from emotion like that is to say that, okay, I understand. I will be more careful in future. This is the lesson I need to learn, that maybe I'm not going to open up so quickly, or, you know, I'm just going to be a little bit more aware of the, you know, the relationship I'm in. So these are reasons why the emotions are not our enemy, they're our friend. So key things: emotion, don't identify with it. It's not who you are. It is a process of the brain. It will come to go if we learn the lesson. Emotions are not our enemies, they're our teachers. There's a lesson to learn here. They come for a reason. They come to tell you something is happening. They are the key takeaways from dealing with emotions. Now, we do need to make sure that we're emotionally strong. You know, we spend a lot of time on building up muscles to make ourselves physically strong. We make sure we eat healthy food, but we spend very little time on trying to build emotional strength. So I don't want to go into great detail here, but what we need to be doing to start to build emotional strength is to start setting boundaries for ourselves, looking at those boundaries. I don't want to step over those boundaries. We spoke about boundaries before. Boundaries are a great way of stopping ourselves from going over these red lines, going into areas that we're not comfortable with. Of course, getting physical, going out for brisk walks. If your body, you know, we've gone through in the second week of this, the connection between our mind and our body are totally interconnected. So when your body is strong, yeah, your mind is going to be strong. When you're weak in the body, your immune system's weak, then guess what? You're going to be emotionally weak. So having good physical health and eating a good, well-balanced diet is going to help you, not just physically, but it's going to help you emotionally as well. We need to talk to people. We need to reach out to people when we're going through really difficult times. One part, important part of building emotional strength is vulnerability. The more vulnerable you are when you're talking to somebody, you know, a friend, somebody you trust, somebody you know that is not going to criticize you. If we are vulnerable, then we're going to be building up emotional strength. It's when you bottle it up, it's when you keep it locked inside. That's when you're going to have problems physically and mentally, and you're weakening your emotional strength. So we need to reach out to people we trust. So having good, strong relationships is really important. Also, we need to, and this may be difficult for some people, we need to learn to be alone. So these days you know, when you are alone, you dive into your phone. So when I mean sitting and being alone, spending some me time, just me quietly, nobody else around. I don't mean then chatting on WhatsApp or looking at reels or photos on Instagram, because again, that is not being alone. Being alone means away from your devices, sitting alone quietly. I don't mean being lonely. You know, being alone doesn't mean being lonely. But we equate that these days. People don't like silence. They don't like people talking. They fill that silence. They don't like just to sit quietly and maybe look out the window or just sit with their thoughts. They try to fill every moment. They try to entertain the brain the whole time. When we're doing that, what we are not doing is making ourselves emotionally strong. So we need to be happy with ourselves. We need to be content. Just, I'm okay. I'm just sitting here quietly, nothing to do. So being alone, learning how to be with yourself and to be happy with yourself and being supportive and compassionate to yourself is a way of building emotional strength. So people are different, of course they are. And there are people who, you know, when they hit difficult times, they say, okay, let's go. I can do this. I can get through this. And they see it as a challenge and they go for it. And there are other people, when they hit these difficult times, they just totally fall apart. So both of them are just part of being a human being. But if you just keep falling apart, it means that you don't have emotional strength and you're not working with your emotions properly. If you enjoyed this video, then press the subscribe button now. And don't forget to share the video with your friends.